what purpose do I serve other than for paintball?
Man, like I feel myself getting choked up, like hearing you say that, because it's so powerful.
It's gonna make me cry again.
Yeah.
Photographer of the year, let's hear it for Dan Shelley, Shellda Photos.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Shellda podcast. My name is Dan Shelley, and today I am joined by just one of the absolute legends in paintball, Tami Adamson, who is, let's see, where do I start? Part owner of Chicago Aftershock, a legendary player for the Femme Fatales, and now the newest venture in paintball. You are the president of Paintball for Purpose. Like, what a resume!
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, it's good. I mean, it's good to have, all those different accomplishments to have in your career and your journey.
Absolutely. And it has been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's jump right into talking about, well, actually, before we talk about Paintball for Purpose, I have two show sponsors that I can't forget to talk about, and you know how important show sponsors are. So I've been partnered up with Junior and Gina Brown from BFP Gear. Gosh, I think this is the 25th episode. And so to be part of their family for this whole entire journey has just been absolutely incredible. And we obviously just got back from Atlantic City, and it was cool seeing like different BFP Gear stickers and shirts and their logos all over jerseys. So they're absolutely crushing it. And then my second sponsor is Hormesis. Their tent was absolutely rocking. I'm sure you walked by and heard the music, and like Kevin was rocking out, and they hooked it up with like a new Hormesis, shirt from the event. Yeah. So it's nice to get that little camo tie into paintball. So it's just been so cool to be part of their family too. But speaking of family and relationships and tying all that together, I went to NXL Tampa a few months ago, ran into you, and then I walked by this booth. I'm like, whoa, this is the beautiful colored booth with like this heart and it's like splatters, and it just caught my attention, and I didn't know what it was. And then come to find out it was a new thing for you called Paintball for Purpose.
Yes, a mental health organization, well, a nonprofit that I founded late last year, early this year. And we've just been running with our heads cut off, just trying to get it going and make sure people know that we're, there for them. And it kind of started small,
Yeah,
a little idea, and then it's just blossomed. And the people that we have on our board are just amazing. They stand behind everything that we're shooting for the stars, actually, is what I like to call it. But I just felt a need that people needed to be able to reach out to somebody for mental health. And everybody suffers with it. If you say you don't, I'm going to call you a bald-faced liar, because I never really thought I did until I could step back and look at my life and go, oh crap, I have some sort of depression or anxiety or something, suicidal tendencies or thoughts or anything. Everybody has them, thinking, oh, well, maybe, our friends will just be, or my family will just be better off if I'm not around. Well, what do you mean by that? Do you mean by taking your life, or do you mean just leaving the picture? So there's numerous ways where a lot of people can say stuff and not mean it, but it's not taken lightly either. And I don't want to take it lightly anymore, because we have lost too many friends in the industry due to suicide or due to ODing or whatever. And I'm tired of it. And I want to make a difference.
Gosh, man, like I feel myself getting choked up, like hearing you say that, because it's so powerful. We've lost so many people in this sport, and I think we see it every few months at this point, of a teammate will post somebody like, hey, I just got the news of somebody passing, and it's like, what could we have done
to make a difference? Yeah. Could we have reached out? Could we have been a better friend? Could we have been a better teammate? It's just, it weighs heavy on my heart and on my brain. What can we do as an industry to, bring this to the forefront, to tell people it is okay to talk about it. It is okay being a man, especially in the sport, you want to be not macho. You want to, smoke your vape or your cigarette or your weed or whatever, or drink your drinks at the events and, be all macho about it. But in reality, a lot of those people are suffering and they're doing it as a mask. Everybody puts a mask on, which I know I've done it for many years. I put a mask on to let everybody think that, oh my God, she's so happy. She's so excited. She's so, with it. No, it's not always been that way. It's always been very difficult, but now I can help other people take that mask off finally and ask for help.
Yeah, what a beautiful actual analogy for this is we all mask up at paintball events, right? And
Ew.
you know, I'm gonna be sitting down with my wife here in a few weeks, and we're gonna record a podcast together about like what it's like to be a paintball spouse.
I love that.
And in preparation for that, we actually when we came back from Tampa, we'll go into it in our podcast, but she said something to me that like one, it just rocked my world. And I think I would imagine most of the pros go through this, and I would assume maybe you have gone through this too, is I'll go to these events and I'm just on a high all day, not like actual smoke high, but like I'm on a
Yeah.
high because people are stopping me. They're asking for pictures. They're asking for my,
Totally different person when you go to the events. And then when you
yeah,
get home, you're like, oof.
yeah,
It hits hard when you're not like being that person that everybody wants to stop and talk to. It's
yes.
hard, and then you're home and it's just you and your family, or you and your wife, or you and your dogs, or whatever. It's just like, what purpose do I serve other than for paintball?
Yeah, it's almost like you struggle with an identity crisis. I see the highs of like you have a high that weekend, and then some people can come crashing back down of like, well, wait, now what am I? And it's just there's so many highs and lows, and if we don't ever talk about that, I think that's where things can lead down depression paths and whatnot. So like what you're doing is just it's so beautiful for the sport. Can you talk to me about what it's been like so far? I think was it Tampa was the first event that you had the booth?
First event. So at Tampa, a lot of people weren't sure what it was about. They thought maybe, oh, this is just, a joke. But then once people started stopping by and I was able to tell my story a little bit and let people know, this is something that is near and dear to my heart. And, I've lost a lot of people due to, overdosing or suicide in this industry. And then with Atlantic City, it was even more momentum. And in between the two as well, I've had numerous people reach out from students at universities and stuff like that, studying medicine and studying mental health, and they want to get involved. And then other mental health counselors who are in the industry as well, reaching out, going, oh my God, we want to be a part of this foundation. We've been wanting to start a foundation. I was like, heck yeah, let's get going with yours as well. And let's get you a part of mine as well. And let's join forces, because that's what it's going to take. It takes a village. It's
Yeah.
good, just like raising children and, doing something that is near and dear to your heart. It takes a village. It doesn't take one or two people. It doesn't take 5 or 10. It takes a conglomerate of different people coming together to make this happen. And that's that's exactly what has happened. Is, like I said, in between the two, so many people have reached out, and then I was able to meet with a lot of people in Atlantic City and put names and faces together, and hearing their story even firsthand was just like, I don't know how many times I cried on Friday and Saturday. I can't tell you, because it was just so amazing to know that, what little bit we have done and what little bit that we've reached out to people, it has made a difference. And like I said, if it takes, if I can save one person, that is, that's what it's about.
Yeah. And it sounds like you've already done that, like it's wild. You're going to make me tear up now too. I think it was probably a few months ago, and I was talking with one of the coaches. I think it was either Ryan Gray or Mike Bianca, and they were saying, I think this was in the last year or two, they were walking to one of their matches, to go coach. Like they were on a time crunch, and somebody tried to stop them, like, hey, I just want to say hi. And the instinct was like, hey, I am busy doing something for me. And he stopped and had a quick interaction. The guy kept trying to talk, and whoever it was like, "Hey, I really need to go. I might be late for my match." A week or so later, I think that person reached out to him and said, "Hey, if you didn't stop me, like that was it."
Yeah.
He said, that I was planning on going to that event and it was my last hurrah and I was going to go home and take my life.
Jesus Christ.
And so like the power of a single conversation is
It
wild.
can be that single smile that you smile at a stranger. We have a thing we tell our kids every day. We have, a group thread with our children. They're 21 and 23, Tucker and Tia, love of my life, besides Todd. We say, be nice to all people.
Yeah.
Because you never know what that one smile, that one hi, that one thank you, that one door opening, that one, hey, how you doing, can treat somebody and can change their day.
Yeah.
And that's just, that's been our rule of thumb since our kids were babies. Be nice to all people, because at any second we can be that, person on the corner who is living in a cardboard box, or we can lose anything and everything that God has given us. And I know a lot of people don't believe in the higher being, but I do. And I just know that in any given moment, it can be taken all from us. And just that one conversation.
Yeah, it's wild. And so now to have a whole booth set up where that one conversation can be 10, 15, 20, and 30 conversations, like you're literally saving lives at these paintball events.
I pray that I can. And I pray that my counselors can as well. I mean, I have a whole group of them that are, and I met a gentleman up in Atlantic City. He's from Atlantic City. He does mental health counseling up there. And he gave me his card. I said, listen, I'd love to get you on board, because anybody in the Northeast that needs to talk to somebody 24 hours, would you be available? He's like, absolutely. Yeah. And it's those connections that is what is going to make this foundation just soar above. Yeah. And just keep going.
I think that's incredible to have resources like that. And, one of the things I really want to focus here is at paintball events, you touched on it earlier, is like we all mask up, we turn on that like masculine energy, right? It's male dominated sport. And seeing a booth like that can be intimidating, I think, to some people.
For sure.
What advice would you give to somebody who, let's say at the next events for the rest of the year, if they're going through something and they just feel like they need to talk to somebody, how can they walk into your booth and what is that interaction like for them?
All you have to do is just walk in, just introduce yourself to whomever's there. I'm usually there a lot of times. If not, my phone number is blasted all over, our pamphlets, our Instagram, our Facebook, our website. If you don't feel like stopping in, but you're at the event and you want to speak to somebody in private, text me and I can have somebody meet up with you, or come there and we take you behind the booth, and nothing is out in the open. If you don't want to talk to somebody there, we have, due to HIPAA as well, we have to take you into private areas to talk, unless you just want to talk about it out in the open. That's solely up to you. But if I'm anywhere on, the campus of an NXL and you see me, stop me. Yeah. At any times. I mean, except for if I'm playing on the field. That's
a little different.
But then, if you're a ref, we'll talk and I'll play. It's okay. Just wipe it off. No, I'm kidding. No, but I'm just saying, at any time. And if you see Todd anywhere and you're like, hey, I really need to talk, he'll be like, hey, let me get Tami 1 second, and we'll get somebody to come see you, and we'll come to you at the event. It's no problem. Yeah. That's what it's about.
I think so. I think hearing that is somebody's going to listen to this podcast and they will walk into that now knowing that, because I think, when I first walked through it by the first time, I just didn't understand what it was. And so to hear that, I can now go behind essentially a closed, door, quote unquote. No one can see me talking. I think that's going to create such a safe environment for people.
Right. Yeah. And again, if you're not at an event, you contact me at info at Paintball for Purpose. You send me an email. We'll connect that way as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be at events. It can be on any of our social media platforms, anything on the website. You contact me and we'll get in touch and we'll help you. we'll find somebody who can be available. Like I have people available 24 hours a day. They said, you call them, here's my number.
So you have a legit team for this, and it's
oh yes, sir. It's not. Yeah, we're not. This is going to be my legacy in paintball.
Yeah,
it's not going to be defense. It's not going to be aftershock. It's going to be paintball for purpose because we're going to make a difference.
Yeah, I love that. Have you had anybody? I mean, obviously with HIPAA, but like, have you had anybody reach out saying anything like that? Right? Like, hey, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be around, or like you saved me in some way.
Had somebody come up to me this weekend.
Wow. What was that experience like for you as the person starting this whole? And
so it's a very good friend. They opened up to me, I opened up to them, and we just made even a stronger connection and let me know that, this is going to be the difference, not only in their lives, but in lives of others. And that to me was just life-changing.
Wow.
To be honest, gonna make me cry again.
Yeah, it's gonna be the theme of this episode, I think, because we're both going to be in tears throughout it.
So, I mean, it's just, hearing people's stories that resonates with your own so much.
Yeah,
just is insane. So, I mean, it's not one in every couple hundred people. It's like 1 in 5.
Yeah,
and that's what people need to realize. It's very large numbers of all of us who, need to talk to somebody. It's not just, oh, you're a head case, whatever. You're not.
Yeah,
we all have issues.
Totally. You're so right there. And like, I just hope people can feel that it's okay to go through anything.
And to talk about your emotions, to show emotions. Cause so many people, I mean, I've always, my famous saying has always been like, suck it up, buttercup, get over it. It's only painful for a little bit. But then again, there's that mask.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had, I was in a group of people this weekend, like what we all do when we go to events, right? You connect with friends and you see them once or twice every few months. And we were standing in a circle, and it was all guys. So, 5 or 6 men. And somebody was just on his phone, like just, and I was like, and so I asked, I was like, hey, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, I've got some stuff going on at home. I was like, okay. And I was like, anything you want to talk about? He's like, I've got my girlfriend's not happy that I'm here. And I was like, ooh, thank you. Let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. And I think so many people that are at these events go through that where there's a fight, there's something, or if you walk away, for an hour or two and your spouse is like, hey, where are you? Or you're talking to, that just creates so much tension. And to have a spot where people can now open up and talk about that type of things is going to be beautiful.
Another thing for people is, they come to these events thinking they're going to win. We all do. Then they come there and they don't win. Then they go home and they've spent thousands of dollars, maybe their paychecks, maybe their rent, maybe their car payment, maybe their insurance payment, whatever. Maybe
maxed out a credit card.
Exactly. So that is going to put more pressure on people, and they need to speak about that as well. I mean, there's so many different avenues of stress that people have on a daily, and we all come to these events to release it, to get rid of it. But then at the end of the event, there's more stress added up because, hey, I didn't do so good. We didn't take home the first prize. We didn't do this. It gets it's an ongoing cycle. So, I mean, it's hard. And for people to just say, hey, I fucked up and I did this, to admit it first, and I've learned this. You have to learn to respect yourself and to love yourself, to be able to love others and to respect others. If you can't love and respect yourself, you'll never be able to do it for the same for others.
So let's go deeper there. Because you and I talked offline about starting this and what you went through. What advice specifically would you give to somebody that doesn't love themselves currently to start? Because that's a really long journey to do that. It's like, how can somebody start?
I was there. It took me years and years not just of therapy, because I did therapy for a very short time. My therapy was going to the gym a lot,
Yeah.
spending time by myself, thinking, and driving. I love to drive. I love to drive, and going out on the water in our boat. That to me was like my church. That's where I found peace. And I find peace in the gym as well. It took a lot, because the one thing that the therapist did tell me when I was going was, you have to look at yourself in the mirror every day and tell that person in the mirror, even if you hate that person, that you love yourself, that you love them.
Mhm.
And the more you say it, write it on the mirror. They said, write it on the mirror, write yourself a note, and read that note, and then change the note every few days, like, you are stronger than this, or you will be better, or just anything that is going to give compliment to yourself, or boost your self-confidence, or whatever. Write it somewhere and read it daily, especially in the morning when you first wake up, because your brain is fresh. And it does start to take effect. I mean, you do start, at almost 52 years old, it's still very difficult for me to take a compliment. Very difficult, but I'm learning.
Mm.
And that is with therapy on myself, is to be like, hey, just like everybody's like, oh, this is so awesome, you're doing this. I'm like, for others, I'm like, well, really, it's kind of for me too, because I still need this.
Yeah.
I still need the help, and I still need to hear, other people's problems, just so it's not just me that I know that's going through it.
Yeah.
And that may be selfish on my behalf. I'm selfish, but I can admit it, and I can admit my faults now, and I can admit where on the journey that I still need to work on, because my journey is not a short one, it's a long one.
Yeah.
So if I can keep continually learning on this journey, then that's what I'm going to do. And that, again, is with telling myself, I love you, you're worth it, you can do this, and there's other people that you need to help as well. So it's just, it's very hard to tell yourself that, but once you get going, and it's a step-by-step process, and then you just start to listen, and you believe it, and your confidence gets better, your mood gets better, your outlook on life gets better, you look better, you feel better, because you're believing it and you're living it. And that's what a lot of people don't know how to do. And I did not know how to do that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because I think so many people struggle with what's the first step. And maybe they try that for a day or two, and then it's like, well, this isn't doing anything. Like,
right, it takes years. It takes years.
Yeah.
I mean, probably my first suicidal episode was 25 years ago.
Wow.
Before the kids were born, and then after the kids were born, 2 more times.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's a journey.
Yeah, I think that's life, right? Like, I think JD Lacow said it a long time ago, or maybe a few years ago. Paintball is life as paintball, and like, you go through ups and downs in both, and they both teach you things on and off the field. And just because you overcome something, or you've gotten over an episode, doesn't mean it's ever going to come back.
Correct.
And I think that's what some people, I personally struggle with that too, is like, oh, like, if I'm over this, it's never going to come back. And when it comes back, you almost beat yourself up even more.
Yeah, you're like, oh, what did I do wrong?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not that you did anything wrong. It's just life throws curveballs at you to see how strong you are.
Yeah.
Are you as strong as you think that you are? And sometimes you're not. And sometimes you're like, yeah, I'm stronger.
Yeah.
And you just have to believe it. You have to believe that you're stronger than the problem.
Yeah.
And ask for help if you're not.
Yeah, that's asking for help is so big. I was always the person who never did. Like, I'll take care of it on my, and
I'll take care of it myself.
Yeah, you want to talk about like a life journey? I'm still struggling with that, and it's been a few years of trying to ask for help or receive love, I think, was the other big one. I was in preparation for the show, I was looking through your website, and one of the things that I loved is you have a resources page.
Yes.
And I was just blown away, because there's 10 or 15 different links here to all different websites, but they're paintball specific.
Yes.
outlets.
Yeah.
And so I pulled up one of them, and yeah, and like there's this quote that I never tied it together, and I want to read it really quick and get your thoughts. I think this was on maybe Battle Creek Paintball,
Mhm.
but it said, according to Julia Chandler, playing paintball releases serotonin in our brains, and this particular hormone is very important and is also known as the happy hormone. The production and release of serotonin helps regulate our mood, memory, learning, which decreases chances of depression and anxiety. And then it went on to talk about how like these different therapists will actually use paintball as a
As a
form.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And that's
never connected
And that's
that.
another thing that they use for like vets coming out of the combat and stuff like that and transitioning into civilian life is they use paintball because it helps with that group that they're used to having and everything, and it brings the happiness into the civilian life to where they're like, oh, where's the in between. And they use it for a lot of kids groups as well and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy because if you think about it, when we're on the field or we're at a paintball event, we're all very happy.
Yeah, totally. And like I've heard,
The release that we need every other month or every 6 weeks. It's that release. And we get there and we're just like, oh my God, we get to see everybody. We get to see our P-pop family, and I'm giddy when I get to get back together with all my friends again. It makes me happy. Paintball saved me.
yeah, I've joked around about this for the past few years, but like I don't think it's really connected until getting ready for the show is, I'm like, I need that release. And I go to the field almost every Sunday just to take pictures, but just being around that atmosphere, being around my friends, being around paintball, like I feel that release.
Family you
And
never knew you needed.
say again?
It's a family you never knew you needed.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's such just a release for people. So like to know that there is actual statistical facts behind that, like paintball is therapeutic. Like, all right,
Yeah,
I'm
right? You
sold.
would have thought.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so amazing. Talk to me about how can we bridge paintball like with kids and with schools? Cause I think I'm starting to see more and more schools are being open to having paintball as like a club sport. And now that we can tie in mental health, what's
So
that? Talk to me about that.
what I'm trying to do with kids and clubs and stuff like that is almost like a Big Brothers Big Sisters program, is reaching out to like our YMCA's or different groups in our area, and like, or even colleges as well, getting clubs involved that of like the medical department. Like I was saying, some people had reached out. They deal with mental health and they're trying to get their schools involved and getting groups or clubs that they can pair together and then go to other organizations in their area to get kids involved. Almost like when they do like basketball camps and stuff like that. That's my end game goal, is to start camps with Paintball for Purpose, but to have it from like kids who are coming from broken homes or, who, parents work 2 jobs to make ends meet.
Yeah.
How can we give them some sort of release with their parents? Because I want their parents to be involved, get the parents to come as well, not just the kids. I want it to be a family event and teach
Wow.
them, hey, this is what it takes to, say it's okay, to talk about things along with your parents, let your parents know what you're going through at school, because a lot of kids don't want to talk to their parents because they don't want to add to the pressure of what's going on at home life or during the adult life, of trying to pay bills. So I just want kids to know it is okay to talk to your parents about your problems as well.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I hope hopefully that all made sense, because I'm just rambling a little bit, but it's all, there's so many fires that I have going in my brain and on
Yeah.
paper that I'm trying to get at least 5 of them accomplished, and then I'll go to the next 5, and then I'll go to the next 5. So
Yeah, it's so amazing to see how fast this has grown in the last essentially year. And uh, I think that's a beautiful piece, because I think a lot of us, anyone that's listening can probably think to somebody at their field, like a teenager, and be like, oh yeah, that person has stuff going on at home and they could probably benefit from this.
absolutely.
And
And
so,
my end game is to have like it in the major populous cities, is having, a Paintball for Purpose day, either once a year, once every 6 months, or something, to where people can come out. The foundation pays for everybody to play, and
Wow.
it's just one big, to do. And
Yeah.
maybe whether it be like just a day to go out and play, or maybe it's a tournament, like a 3v3 tournament with prizes, and we'll get outside sponsors to come in. That's a goal of mine. And actually, I am trying to do one up in Melbourne, Florida in September, October, with a young man who contacted me from a school up there. And he wants to start the first one. I was like, frick yeah, let's do it.
Wow.
So that one's already in the fruition of getting going. He just texted me and said his school's on board. They said, let's do it. And I was like, oh my God, it's actually happening.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm extremely happy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so cool to hear that. I think you're saying like to do this every 6 or so months.
Right.
Honestly, I think you can start now from a different perspective of, hey, once a year, let's all as a sport. Today is what's the Sunday? Like,
Day.
yeah. And on that day,
Yeah, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. So if we did it in May, that would be ideal, just to go along with the Mental Health Awareness Month.
yeah. And maybe it's something like, when you're at the field, you post a picture and it's, tell us what you're going through, or tell us why you paintball, or how paintball has saved you or somebody. I think that can drum up a lot of interest to get other people to share it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously we can't, I'm assuming probably saying your names, but have there been any pros in the league that have come out and seeked help, or have wanted to be a part of this?
One has reached out wanting to be a part of it. Yes. Right away. And I thought that was amazing. Nobody has reached out for any help or anything like that, which that takes big balls to do.
Totally.
Especially since I know most of them. And I would hope that they would just come and say, hey, I need this or that. And I'd be like, heck yeah, here you go. Here's the people. I don't even want to, no, whatever. But yeah, we've had some people reach out wanting to help and donate some goods and items to be able to raffle off and stuff like that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything, right? At least there's one person that starts out there. And I know there's other pros that listen to this podcast. So if you are listening, please reach out to Tami and like offer your help and offer your name and your likeness. Cause I think getting our heroes of our sport into something like this will allow people to connect more. And if I see just a random name, if I see an Alex Fragia tied to this and, oh my gosh, I look up to this person and he's sharing this, well, then I can share it too.
That's one thing I want, is for pros to come on board with me and say, you know what, can I share a story on, your Instagram or your whatever, any social media? Let me share my story of what mental health I went through, or the therapy I went through to get out of the situation. That's exactly what I want for the pros to do, is to come say, hey, Tami, can I share my story on your platform? Heck yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Because then everybody's going to know, oh my God, this person's even better than I thought they were.
Yeah.
Because they overcame something. And
yeah.
I mean, everybody has an issue. Everybody has some sort of hiccup, and we just need to be okay with it. It's okay.
Life is messy.
That's right.
I think we're all trying to figure it out.
You think you're perfect, you're not. I'm sorry. You're not.
Totally. I know you mentioned a little bit about doing like a Paintball for Purpose day in 5 or 10 years. Where else do you see the brand going?
Next step I would like to do is do the NXL in Europe, is to get it over there as well. So I would like to brand it all the way across the pond as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So not only here, but over there, and maybe at some of the WCPPLs, have a booth there, and maybe the MVPS here in Florida, just at different places. I would like to get our name out there more into the divisional competition as well, not only just at NXL. I want it everywhere.
Oh, wow. That would be so beautiful. Because even just this weekend, I was talking with somebody who flies over from, I think, France for every NXL event here in the States. Mm-hmm. and we were chatting, and I was like, why do you come to these? And he was like, honestly, like, it's so depressing over there. He's like, paintball is just so different.
Yeah, it is different. I agree.
And, so not saying that it's all depressing, but for that one person is choosing to fly across the world to have a different experience. And so maybe if there was a booth there, it could help him and other people too.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
I
Gosh, I'm so happy you're doing this. It's going to be it already is great for the sport, and it's cool to see where it's going to continue to go.
It will, like I said, it will be a legacy. It will definitely be something for people to go, you know what? Yeah, I stopped by their booth and yeah, it did help. So that's my end game. And maybe one day somebody will go, hey, my God, thank you, because it saved, your counselors helped save me.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I love that.
That's what I want.
Love it. Speaking of legacy, let's transition a little bit and talk about one of the most storied franchise names in all of paintball, Chicago Aftershock. What was it like just deciding to bring the brand back?
This was something that Todd had thought about. We started playing Tin Man again with Rennick and all the guys with Chicago Aftershock. And then, he was actually going to purchase the ML Kings the year before, and that fell through. And it just happened another spot opened up, and Todd was like, I think I'm going to talk to Rennick and do Chicago Aftershock. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, go for it.
Cool.
So it's always, Chicago. Aftershock is just a name that will always live and be around. And Todd's been a part of it for so long, and it only seemed right.
Yeah, it was so cool because I'm obviously I've been around the sport as a fan and a player for the better part of 20 years now. So I remember way back when Aftershock was huge, before they left, and to see it now come back. And the cool thing is to see younger kids, teenagers and in their 20s seeing Aftershock for the first time.
Right.
And like to have this whole new fan base come into it.
Different than they were back then. There was a lot of fighting back then.
Totally. Yeah. It's a much different Aftershock nowadays. Yeah. What is it like being part of an owner or part of that whole entire camp? Because I've been around some owners in the past few years, and I know what they go through in preparation for an event, but I don't think a lot of my listeners understand what it takes to be an owner of a professional team.
Patience. No. Finances. I mean, I think most of the professional owners have either a field or a store or some business, paintball related wise, in their pocket, or that's what they do for a living. That's not us in this case. It's strictly Todd, and he has such a passion for it that he's able to finance it. And I don't know, everybody's like, well, what does he do for a living? I'm like, I don't know. He's a consultant. That's what we say. He's a consultant. So that's the running joke now of how Todd makes his money is consulting, but it is kind of true. He is a consultant, but it's just his passion. It makes him wake up in the morning. It keeps him up all night. And it's just, he wants this team to do so freaking good that he stresses about it 24/7. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, is to fund a team and do it out of your own pocket for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Look at it, but it's something that he wants. And as long as it makes him happy, I'm happy. And I stand behind him for anything that he wants to do.
That's a perfect paintball power couple right there, which I think a lot of people have called you guys before as like a paintball power couple.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I see you're rocking a JT shirt. Talk to me about what it was like to bring the brand back to JT. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Long time coming. I miss my guys at Die. They were definitely near and dear to my heart. But it was just a stepping stone that we needed to make on both fronts, with Aftershock and with the FEMS. So it just seemed it was the perfect fit at the moment. So, and it still is.
Yeah. And they crushed it. I'm assuming Jared probably did all of your designs for your merchandise and your jerseys because they look so killer.
Yeah, they're badass.
And it's been cool, like even here, at my local field in Austin, just seeing like all of the Aftershock builds that people are wearing, like especially with younger kids, like, oh, you didn't even know what they were, like, and now you're a fan of it.
I have stuff probably older than those kids.
Yes, I was talking to Hosky this weekend. We were like, as a photographer, obviously I'm waiting to go on the field, and I always let the team go first. And I'm standing right behind him, and he's rocking some black, gray, and yellow strap on his mask. I'm like, hey, that's a pretty badass strap. He was like, yeah, I think it's older than I am.
Right. He finds all the old stuff. I don't know how he does it. He did it with all the dye masks too. He had like 40 different ones and like just old stuff. But before then, he had all old JT stuff, like a wall of it. And I'm like, who does this? He's like, I do. I'm like, you're a
nerd. But look, it's
badass. I know. Like, I wish that Todd just gave all of our stuff away. No matter what, he was just like, oh, here, give it away. And I'm like, why do you ever keep any of that? He's like, because if I did, I'd have more. Like, I have a 10 by 30 storage unit just for my Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
He would have had more than that, like probably twice as much. And he's like, I don't need it. Just, I'm like, yeah, but we could have just done that. He could have used it.
He's got the memories locked up here.
Yeah, that's it. He's got a few guns that we kept and a few, like his original X-Ball jersey we still have, and
cool.
The original Femmes JT ones and stuff like that. So we have a few originals left, but I have to hide them from him so he doesn't give them away.
Smart. Yeah, you've got to start locking these things away.
Exactly.
Let's go on the flip side of that. Let's talk about the WNXL and your team. It's so cool to see you out there with all the ladies. Talk to me about that experience. What is that like for you?
I love playing with my girls. I mean, Andrea and Monica have known Andrea since the inception of the Femmes. So since 1999, she's been a part of the team off and on, when I was still doing it, and then I stopped for a while, and then we picked it back up, and then just playing with Monica. And then when Carla was around, it was just, those are my MFAs, my motherfucking amigas. So, and now we have the other girls on board, and it's a good mix. We got our California girls and we got our Florida girls, and it's just the right unit this time. It's smooth. There's no issues. There's no, transitional problems. There's no communication errors. It's just everybody's there for a job, and that's to win. And it finally came together. I can honestly say, no technical issues with equipment. It just, everything ran smooth in Tampa. So I look forward to it running smooth in Cincinnati as well with my girls.
Yeah. That's one of like my favorite moments at NXL events, especially, what is it, 3 times a year, I think WNXL plays?
1, 3, and 5.
Yeah, it's when you're able to come over to the pro field for like the finals. I'll be completely honest, like I've been shooting on Sundays on the pro field for a few years now, and sometimes during divisional games, like it just becomes a ghost town. But when WNXL comes over, the stands fill up.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
There's a great following for all the women's teams. And I think, even though on the field we hate each other, but off the field we're secretly rooting for the other teams, So, and I have strong bonds with a lot of the girls on the other teams, and I will continue to always have that strong bond. And so will a lot of my girls as well. I mean, you've seen through the past and just the past few years how many teams have either pulled out, pulled in, a lot of moving parts with players transitioning from one team to another, back to one team, going back and forth. So it's like I said, on the field, hate all of their freaking guts. Off the field, I love them to death. But it's there's a lot of people that want to see the sport continue to grow with the WNXL. I just think that it's going to be hard because there's only so many of us. And if we continue at the rate that we're going with just letting people who've only played for a few months now be considered a pro, I have a problem with that. And I have voiced my opinion with that. So I think that it needs to stop growing for a little bit, continue with those teams, let those teams continue doing what they're doing, and then start amateur teams under, in the WNXL ranks and build from there.
So that's a whole nother debate topic on its own. We could probably spend a whole podcast on that.
I'm game.
Yeah, I'm totally down to bring you back to talk about that. But super quick at a high level, because I think I see it. I'll see like new teams come up from different parts of the region. I'm like, ooh, how are you gonna stay funded? Like, how are you gonna fly everyone in, across borders and whatnot? Like, how is this sustainable?
It's quick numbers. Last year with just the two teams, we spent well into the 400,000.
With the two teams meaning Aftershock and Fatal?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, that's hotels, flights, cars, and my girls, a lot of, most of them pay for their own flights and stuff.
Yeah.
We pay for all hotels. If we're all together, we pay for food, stuff like that. But they do get their flights. But still, it's expensive. It's crazy. And then if you're trying to practice more than just the layout practice and whatever, then you've got to figure out, where are we practicing? Is it going to be California, Florida, in between, and Dallas? Where is it going to be? And then everybody has to fly there. And then that's money spent. And there's time taken away from families. There's time taken off of work. There's a lot of moving parts that you have to consider. And a lot of people don't. That's where marriages fail. You lose your job. You can't go to the next event because you can't afford to, because you took off this event. It's not sustainable in the long run for a lot of people. But if you have a nice paying job, sure, it is. And you have an understanding wife or husband, then it is.
Yeah.
So, but it is hard with women because we want to be mothers, most of us, or, we want to get married and have that home life and stuff. So, I had my kids and 2 weeks after my cesarean section with both kids, I was at an event in Pomona, California playing.
Wow.
So, it didn't stop for me. It never stopped. I played it up until I was 8 months pregnant. Yeah. So, it's been our life since my life with Todd since 1993, since I met him. Yeah. And then I started playing in 99. So it's been an ongoing journey, and you just have to be willing to take your family with you. Again, that's an added expense. So.
Yeah, totally. I know that all too well, cause like I could do, I work for the league, and they always offer, a hotel, and they cover some of my expenses. But part of my enjoyment is having my wife at these events with me.
Right.
And the league's not going to cover that. But I wouldn't enjoy being there if she wasn't there.
Absolutely. She's your other half. She's your other, that's just who your makeup,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. She's part of your DNA now.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't imagine going to these events without her. No. And so I can totally understand where, like, where that can cause such a divide for couples.
Absolutely. Well, just like Todd left, the Thursday before layout or weekend, then he was gone from Thursday and I flew in Wednesday. Yeah. I can't tell you how depressed I was until I got to see him. I don't sleep. I'm depressed. I'm a different person. And as soon as I see him, I'm like, oh my God.
Safety.
My safety net. Yeah, there he is. He's okay. I'm back.
Yeah.
He's back. Woohoo. But otherwise I get very depressed if I'm not with him. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. Cause I think a lot of people go through that. And I really hope that players, or if you are a player, to also think about your spouse too, if you're leaving them home. Like what they go through and what their experience is like when you are traveling, fulfilling your dreams and whatnot, because it's hard for people that have to stay at home.
It is. And, Todd and I did go through that as well back in 2007, 2008. I wasn't playing at the time. He was with Ironman, and he was supposed to fly out to California for an event, and he missed one of the flights due to work or something. they redid his ticket again. And then it was our anniversary. And I had a
Wow.
meltdown because our children were small. And I was like, no, go with your buddies, whatever. He missed the next flight. They sent him another ticket. And he is like, guys, I just can't go. They're like, it's already going to be Sunday. They're like, no, we want you here. You're to be here. You're flying out. Come play. And he's like, no, I have to choose my wife this time.
Wow.
And he chose me. And because that was a breaking point for me at the time. Again, severe depression.
Sure.
Didn't know what the hell was going on. And full circle back to why I started Paintball for Purpose, because of mental health stuff, because I did not know what I was going through back then. And the depression and the anxiety of him leaving me with 2 small children and everything. So,
and before social media, where you could like check in quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think we had flip phones. I think we had Nextels back then.
Yeah, so you're not a quick text away.
Right. We couldn't even really text message back then. Do, and then do. I think we even still had beepers back then. Good God.
Yeah, jeez.
911 now.
Yeah, exactly, right. And to see that off the field,
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah.
Gosh, why paintball? You've obviously been around this so long. You're crazy passionate. Why do you keep choosing to come back to paintball?
I'm stupid. No, I'm kidding. Again, it's for the family. I mean, I have the family I was born into, but we've created such a strong bond with people in the industry that I can't wait to see them again.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get to the event and see my friends that I haven't seen for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Even though I text every day with them, or we have group threads or whatever, messages, whatever. It's not the same as being in person and to be able to physically see that person, talk to that person. It makes a difference. I mean, I have all my friends and family here in town in Fort Myers, Florida, but it's different because they get me, they get my weirdness.
Yeah.
They get the reason why I love paintball, why I like to go out and shoot people and get shot at and cuss and yell and want to fight somebody on the field and then come off the field and still want to fight them, but then love them,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the insanity that keeps me going in the sport. I love it.
Yeah. I think that's it for so many people. And I resonate with that so much because I moved to Austin, Texas during COVID for work. I went through a divorce. I'm with my wife now, and what's left of my immediate family is in Connecticut. And so I have nobody down here other than my wife. And so paintball is my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where, when I think of like a world without it, I don't even know how to comprehend it.
Depressing,
Yeah.
And we use it as an escape. Everybody uses paintball as an escape. It's your go-to. What do you do? What do you do to go try and be happy and make yourself feel better? I go play paintball.
Yeah.
Escape.
Yeah, it totally is. It's such a release. And now we've got data behind it that like it is factual. And I love that. Yeah. So cool. So Tami, this has been amazing. I've ended all of my shows with a really cool way to like tie in all of my guests. Okay. And so the last guest I had on was Tyler Harmon. And what I do is I allow the guest to ask any question they want to without knowing who next week's guest is.
Oh, shitballs. Okay.
And so like the questions have been all over the place that I've had questions from, is cereal super chowder? I've had questions of who would you like to have lunch with, like a deceased member. I've had who from the past would you like to have play paintball, like a celebrity or like a historical figure. So I'll give you some time to chew on yours while I ask you Tyler's question for you.
Okay.
And this will be cool because like you've been around the sport for so long and you've traveled obviously so all over the place for it.
Right.
So Tyler Harmon's question for you, without knowing you were going to be on, is there's certain areas of the world that aren't even allowed to have paintball markers due to laws. If you were able to unlock one territory, country, or area of the world to allow paintball to be played in, what would it be? or where would it be?
Well, one place that I've been that is hard to get paintball gear into is Australia. And I would go back there and play paintball if it were easier to get paintball markers into Australia.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very hard. We had to like break them down into like so many millions of parts and then rebuild everything once we were over there. But like we have a very dear friend over there, Michael Wybrew, who is like the paintball master of Australia. And he's like, it's so difficult still to this day. So it would be Australia totally, or New Zealand, somewhere over there like that, for sure.
Oh my gosh, such a populated area. I would have just assumed.
Well, it's populated, unpopulated, because you only have a population around the edge of it.
Yeah, true.
Not to the innards, as I call it. But yeah, it would be Australia for sure, to go back there and just play again. And it's for if it were to be easier to get in there, for sure.
Wow, that's a great answer. I didn't even think about Australia.
I'm just saying, I don't know if you can play paintball there, but I think they should. So we should all just go there and sit on the beach and play paintball.
I'm all for having a paintball tournament on the beach.
Right? Same. Absolutely. So my question for the next person, let's see. I want to say this right. Who in your life was the most influential in you making the decisions about who you are today?
Wow, I love that. That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question because like it ties into paintball for purpose, ties into like digging deep into your mind. That's a great question.
Good, because I could never tell you what I just asked, but yeah,
it's
recorded.
Totally, yeah, it's a great question, and depending who's next week's guest is, it'll make them go a little bit deeper. And those are the questions that I honestly love the most. Is like the ones that let people go,
yeah,
and then they have to reflect a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say that I missed about Paintball for Purpose before we wrap up?
No, sir. I just appreciate you wanting to help me spread the message and spread the word of it and get it out there to more people amongst your followers and your listeners and your viewers. I just appreciate it more than you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Anything to one, not only help paintball, but two, just to help people in general. I'm all for that. So thank you for starting this, and I just can't wait to see it continue to grow and the different iterations of it.
And just everybody remember, if you feel that you can't, physically come up to us at the booth, you can always reach us on any forms of the social media at any time.
So Facebook, Instagram.
I'm starting YouTube. I'm starting TikTok as well. And I have paintballforpurpose.com as well. So I want to do I want to kind of do what you're doing with like little interviews of people and saying, why you needed therapy, what started it, was it addiction, whatever, for people to spread their story and to let people know there is help out there and to come and seek help. So I'm going to do the same thing kind of like you are.
Yeah, I love it. Honest.
For me, you and Isaac are inspirations for me when you do this, for sure.
Thank you. It's going to be cool to have a different light and a different podcast out there from your perspective too, because I've just had so many people come up to me this past weekend alone of, hey, your podcast has helped me in this element, or to, people would say like, I saw whatever the superstar was come on your episode and share this, and I'm going through that too. So to have a second person do this is going to be just so much more for the sport.
I love that. I love that.
Awesome. Well, Tami, thank you so much for coming on. It was so great to see you this weekend. And I feel like we're going to see each other here in less than 60 days for the next one?
I think it's like 6 weeks away.
Yeah, it's going to be here before we know it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, to everyone else tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Shellda podcast. We'll catch you next time. See ya.